Welcome to Migration Matters Festival. My name is Chiwe Chihana and I'll be your host tonight for this amazing conversation with the Anqa Collective. I do apologize. I think we had a bit of a sound glitch there. So as I was saying, my name is Chiwe Chihana from Migration Matters Festival, and I'm really excited to be hosting this event in conversation with the Anqa Collective. This is about refugee founders from the Anqa Collective, Europe's first marketplace for refugee-led businesses. I'm really excited about that. We'll hear them share both their inspiring business journeys and their personal stories. So I've got Nijat, Sally, and Tim Khan of the collective. They'll talk about their brands. They'll discuss how they built their businesses and what it's been like to be part of the collective during the last year. And also here, I've got Isobel Ford of Turn. I'll tell you what Turn is in a moment, but Isobel will foreground this story of the collective. So good evening, Nijat, Tim, and Isobel.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Hello, they're really honored to have you guys join us.
We're so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. So what is the Anqa Collective, Isobel? Could you tell me a little bit about that before we get into the specifics of the businesses themselves?
Yeah, of course. And yeah, firstly, I just wanted to say that this is the first event we've done like this. It's the first time we've really spoken as a group about the project. So can't wait to talk about it. And if anyone has any questions, please drop them in the chat because we're really keen to start a conversation around this topic. So Anqa was born in July last year. It's essentially a project that aims to give refugee entrepreneurs access to customers through marketplace opportunity. And it grew out of a pop-up shop that we held in December 2019 with my organization Turn. So Turn is a social enterprise that supports refugee entrepreneurs who are starting their businesses. We run a lot of different business programs. We offer support around early stage ideation, all the way up to sort of investment and scaling and growing businesses further down the line. And that December, we decided to hold an in-person pop-up event in Brick Lane. And we had traders like Team who came along and sold products to the greater public. And it was the first time Turn entrepreneurs had really pitched to real customers and sold in person. And we made over £2,000 of sales in one day. We had 13 entrepreneurs involved. It was really fun. And most importantly, people kept asking us, where can we buy these products next? When are you going to do another one? And we decided that the easiest thing to do was to take this online and give access to entrepreneurs we work with who don't just live in London, but all across the UK. So we started developing the website in spring during the beginning of the pandemic, and we went online in July. And we had an amazing first launch. We did a soft launch with 250 of our supporters. We had 8 different entrepreneurs with their food products, like chili sauce, Team's clothing, amazing lingerie from an entrepreneur called Maria. And ever since then, we've just been working on growing the project, getting more entrepreneurs on board and growing the products and services that are available on there.
That's really brilliant. I mean, that's the first I've heard of such an initiative, and especially with the barriers that refugees tend to have when they get their status. So this is really a good initiative. Tim and Neja, Tim first. What's it been like for you, this journey of joining the Anqa Collective?
It's been wonderful. Thanks. I'm so honored to be here today talking to you guys. And thanks so much for inviting us. And it's been great. It started with just a random chat once with a friend of mine called Laura. And then she says, you should join and get your business, and there's lots of support out there. And I contacted Turn, and then I had a meeting actually with Isabel and the first time. And I did the entrepreneurial cohort program. And then in November, nearly a year and a half ago now, we did our first soft launch and launched the business officially, which has now completely changed direction from what we started with, and now we're just fully organic and 100% vegan.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear more about that in a moment because it sounds very exciting. But what about you, Nijat? How has it been? What's your journey like getting into the Anqa Collective? Please unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Happens to the best of us. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for having me here first. Yeah, it's similar story as Tim told. I came to Turn last year when not 2 years ago. Just I went asked some loan and I came and I had a meeting with Isabel, and then everything was there. People like me, like team, and you feel belonged. And if Aqua being really helpful, to be honest, like we get customers from there, we get noticed, and it just like it's a teamwork, it's a family for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're agreeing, Tim. Yeah, I'm hearing you saying yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's crazy that we call ourselves family now, and I call them my family entrepreneur, my friends entrepreneur. It's just because we work so close together. If we need advice, we always drop each other a message, and if we don't know how to do something, we text each other. And even from Turn, all the support been like they've had so much support, like during the pandemic, whether it was for mental health support, whether it was we were not able to do something with our website, our Instagram page, photos. They have always been there at the end of the phone to support with whatever need we needed.
That sounds really encouraging. So to our viewers, I know we've got some viewers on Facebook, we've got some on the Zoom call, and wherever else you are, please start posting your questions. I'll be asking Isabel, Nijat, and team the questions that you're going to be posting. If you can share those in the chat, and please be mindful of language and be respectful of the presence that you're in this evening. Isabel, what was the inspiration behind Turn itself? Because Turn has existed way before the Anqa Collective. What was the inspiration? And if I'm going to try and pronounce this properly. So that's the Entrepreneurial Refugee Network. That's what Turn is. What's the inspiration behind that?
Yeah, so yeah, it's quite a long name, and that's why we've converted it into Turn, which actually spelled like that. It's one of Team's masks, quick plug. So Turn was actually set up back in 2017. It grew out of a vision that 4 founders had here in London, because they started thinking about all the talent and business potential that was going to waste when entrepreneurs from refugee backgrounds were not able to access primarily the finance and networks they needed to set up here in the UK, and therefore weren't able to transfer the potential that they might have developed in their countries of origin to the UK economy. And this is combined as well with other disadvantages that people face, including being distanced from the labour market after some time spent waiting for a result of the asylum application. It can be also not having that natural access to social or cultural capital here. For some, it can also be a language barrier. And 2 of our founders started just thinking about ways that they could platform people who were making that very brave decision to set up a business in a country where they are new, and what that platform looked like and what kind of help they could offer. So they ran a very small pilot with just 5 entrepreneurs, just to see what kind of ideas came up, and they were very inspired by the people who joined. And that was our first batch of entrepreneurs and mentors, because one of the main things we do in our flagship programs is pair an entrepreneur with a mentor from a similar sector that they might want to work in. And they work really intensely together, normally through an 8 to 12 week program. And that mentorship, I mean, Tim and Najat, I think, have both experienced this. It's really key to what we do. And these supporters are some of the most brilliant people that I've met, because they really bring their sort of expertise and guidance into the process, and they become like a temporary co-founder, like a good friend for the person starting the business. And it enables Turn to really work with many more people than we'd be able to otherwise. So we have around 1,000 supporter mentors in our database, and many people who mentor again and again. And yeah, they're just fantastic. So yeah, we went from that very small program to finding corporate partners to work with, obviously looking for funding. And one of the first was actually Ben & Jerry's, who is still a long-term partner of Turn. And they helped us set up a program called the ICE Academy, which is our early stage business sort of pre-incubator. And we ran our first version of that in 2017, and it's been going ever since. There's a cohort going now, actually. And yeah, we've grown everything since then. We're now a team of 9 people, and growing all the time. We have a community of over 300 entrepreneurs in the UK. Most of them are based in London, but we also run partner programs in France, Germany, the Netherlands, and also in Scotland now. And so, yeah, things are expanding all the time.
Yeah, so it sounds really good and well done to you. I'll come back to you and ask you about the global reach as well of that. But team, could you? I'm wondering about the transition from being an asylum seeker who could not access such opportunities because we do have a messed up system that limits people's talents when they're in the asylum system, to being a refugee who could access this. I just wonder whether you could talk me through that journey and that transition, that ability to take ownership of your own talent, I suppose, which was restricted before.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, it was always a dream to have my own brand, and since I was little, and so the asylum process has made that dream come true somehow. You know, it's. I remember I didn't have enough money to buy clothes, so this is how it's all started. I started buying fabric from Wolfham's the market, and then started making my own t-shirts and my own trousers. And people started, oh, I like your t-shirt, or I like what you've done here. Where can we buy that? Where did you buy it? And since then I started making and selling them. And then as time has passed by, I got my refugee status. I did the entrepreneurial course and then launched a business. So and now we're focusing a lot more about climate crisis. So we're bringing 100% organic cotton and vegan approved clothes. Never thought I'd be making face masks, and now I've got a range of like hundreds of different types of face masks, and from sequins to organic cotton to jersey to also the rainbows. And so yes, but the journey has been an absolute roller coaster. But at the same time, I feel so proud to where we are right now with all the support that I've had received.
I really appreciate that we've got people like you that can put out a story like that. Also, I love the fact that you've got an ecological line. What we haven't talked about is what your brand is called, actually. So when people are looking for you, what are they looking for?
Sure. So the brand is name I actually put under my name, so it's Team Khan. And the strap line of the brand is fabric has no gender, fashion is fluid. It's purely for me as a gamer, and I believe that fabric, everyone should wear whatever fabric it is, whether it's see-through, whether it's silk, whether it's beads, whether it's sequins or rainbows. Everyone should be able to wear it. And so that's why we came up with this strap line of fabric has no gender and fashion is fluid. Same as colors. Colors has no gender. Boys can wear pink, and the girls can wear navy, so it's absolutely fine. It's okay. It's okay. So yes, so that's what I do, and my brand is called Team Khan. It's on Instagram, and it's also on Anqa Collective.
Brilliant. In a very similar way, I would like to invite Najat. I would like to understand what your brand is and what you're selling, and also just your journey, a little bit more of detail on that.
So I am a beauty therapist. I do nails, massages, and wax and facials. I came to UK in 2016, and I'm originally from Eritrea, East Africa. I left the country when I was 14, and I've been through desert and stuff, and I ended up in Israel. I asked for asylum seeker for a couple of years there, but they didn't accept me. But I managed to learn how to do beauty while I was there. And then when I came here, I worked in a company, but after I decided to have my own business, I started, but I didn't have any clue what I was doing. Like Isabel said earlier, when you're a refugee in a new country, it's hard to find the finance. Even like the small thing, even to sign a contract, you really need someone that understands, or you really have to take your time, or you have to have the knowledge. And I started making mistakes, learning from them. And when I came to Tehran, that was like a big change. I thought I needed money when I came to Tehran. I came to ask loan, but I gained a lot, as I said earlier, like how to manage your business, how to communicate, how to do the digital marketing. So yeah, that's my journey. And I operate my business now from Brixton. It's called Mazal Beauty and Wellness. I've been doing it now for 3 years, and it's doing well. I was top rated in 2019 and 2020 in a platform called Treatwell.
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm also thankful to meet people like you that can put these stories out there, because usually there's so many barriers when people seek asylum and they get their refugee status. There's true that I think there's a stereotype about what they can do and what they can't do, and so it's really good to have your stories out there. What about yeah, like what's your vision beyond this period? Where do you want to go with the business?
Me?
Yeah, you. Yeah.
Oh, obviously, it's like I always have big dream, but I have to start small. But my dream is like in a couple of years having like big salon, maybe opening opportunity to girls like me that they didn't have the chance to finish education, but they have the fire in them to do something for themselves. So maybe opening a chance for them to either to create like work experience or somewhere to go to learn or to come to work. So it's just like for me, after my business gets in the level that I want, is giving back to the community.
Absolutely. I like what you've just said there. And I'm just going to ask Isabel as well. Isabel, from the founding of Turn and the people that Turn has supported, because you talked about a network of mentors that's in the thousands. I wonder whether some of those are previously beneficiaries of Turn and then have now become mentors themselves, and if there's that kind of story like what Nejat has just told us you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. And it comes back to what Team said earlier about us kind of being a big family, and that a lot of people who work with us do want to go on to give back to the community. Over half the businesses that we work with have a social mission embedded in their business model, which is really cool. Like they want to also change the world, as well as just setting up their own brand. And that also feeds into a lot of people who want to either mentor entrepreneurs. So now that we're nearing our 5-year birthday, we have entrepreneurs who work with us in 2017 and 18 who have been up and running and trading for over 3 years, and they can give back in terms of one-off advice sessions. We also have an awesome group of people, and Nejat and Team actually both part of this, called our sort of Turn Champions. And they are entrepreneurs who come into workshops with new entrepreneurs who are joining Turn programs, and they talk about their story. They deliver content based around specific topics like a digital marketing session, and they share a bit about what they've learned. And for us, it's really important to platform entrepreneurs who have lived experience, because as an organization, we want to be 51% refugee-led by 2025. Like that's our aim, because that's the point of platforming, entrepreneurs from this specific background. And we're trying to do that mainly through
that. Can I clarify that bit? So you want to be 51% refugees. Is that 51% of the staff, the 9 that you're talking about, or is that 51% of benefit of those who've gone through the program and mentoring?
Of our staff body, our team. So people who are paid to be employed by Turn.
That's very good. Because that was one of the questions I was going to be asking you later on. So I'm really glad that you've clarified that. Thank you. Maybe if you could all just come in on this one, you can unmute yourself as well, Tim. I'm wondering the Anqa Collective itself started last year. We're in the middle of a pandemic. 1, what were you thinking? 2, what were the challenges?
Yeah, you guys, I can talk about the challenges from like Anqa's logistics point of view, and then I know you've both had specific challenges to your businesses that you might want to mention. We always planned to launch an online marketplace before the pandemic actually started. Happily, it's something that was still feasible in some ways. There were so many issues around setting up in terms of getting products photographed, getting great shots of the founders. There's some beautiful photography on there, and we had to organize like socially distant photo shoots, running around in cars to pick up products from one place, drop them up safely to someone else, and all of that was a bit chaotic, but we actually discovered there was a huge appetite for online shopping at that specific time, so that was really beneficial for us. The main downside is that we haven't been able to host pop-up events, because a big part of our initial plan was to host one every 3 months, keep the audience sort of engaged with us as a group, because it's really great to meet people face to face. I'm sure, as Team can testify, like selling products to people really allows you to create that relationship. So it's been kind of hard to create that bond with our customers remotely, but we're finding new ways to do it. But maybe you guys want to speak to that specifically with your brands.
Thanks as well. Go ahead. Next, Team, maybe.
Oh, I was actually so excited when we launched Anqa Collective. We were the first 9 entrepreneurs to be on it, and it's the first platform marketplace for refugees in Europe. So it's a pleasure. It's an absolute honor to be on it. Of course, there was, like Isabel just mentioned, it was chaotic because we were during a full pandemic. but that didn't stop us doing it. That didn't stop us launching it. And something always come up in my mind, I have said that many times this week, is we rise by lifting others. And for us to go where we have been today, we are so I'm personally so proud to where we have been, but that's purely because we have rise by lifting others, and we've been there for each other no matter what it has been through. So there's this journey of Anqa Collective, which is great. I mean, the sales for me personally on Anqa Collective was awesome. I never expected to be selling that many face masks during a pandemic, but at the same time, for every face mask that we've sold for Anqa Collective, we have given one free as a donation to an asylum seeker, those who can't afford to buy a face mask.
Oh, that's really good. And are there how are you targeting the asylum seekers? Is it through organizations that you're giving the free masks to? That's really
we bunch them in a pack of 10 or 20, and then I personally sometimes go and drop it at certain places, or I send them to some of the connections that we have in certain places where they have big amount of asylum seekers, and then they just distribute it. It as simple as that is not just, there's no process for it. So we sell face masks, we give some away.
Encouraged by that. And Nijat, what were the challenges? Actually, even tell me some of the successes. Obviously, platforming on the collective was a success probably from before, because everybody migrated towards online purchases. But what challenges did you personally face?
So for me, it's a bit different one here, because yes, I did launch my business before even Anqa was born or launched. But I was operating my business from another salon, and my plan was just before lockdown to open a business, but the lockdown came and I couldn't open my own salon. And you know, sometimes you feel like really down, or you kind of like lose hope. But when Anqa was born, and I remember Isabel, when you guys going with the shopping in the elevator and everything, that kind of it was giving me hope, like, oh, I can do this. Like, if they are launching this now, and if like Tim and the others, they're starting now to do this, I already started, I'm in, so I can continue. That was like a kind of a good push, but there was a lot of challenges, like it just to be able to have customers and to maintain everything, and finally you're gonna open a business, and then suddenly the lockdown came, and then we couldn't do that, and I couldn't get any grant as well from the government, because I was renting from another salon. Like, I can't get directly any grant from the government, and it was a bit difficult, but thanks God I'm back. And I'm really thankful for my customers. I have very young, diverse customer in Brixton, and they like to support small businesses and refugee businesses as well. And I've been honest with them since day one. They came to me. I always shared my story, and they helped me through that. So yeah, I don't want to say it was just challenge. There was a lot of good stuff as well. There was a moment that you feel like, yeah, I think I'm doing something good. That's why people are supporting me.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've just realized that as I've been talking to you, there was a research last year that actually it was the beginning of this year that I also participated in looking at. It was about everybody who was on furlough or getting grants and support. What was missing actually from that was the women who were working in the beauty industry, because obviously that business could not go ahead. Most of them are self-employed, most of them are small scale, and so they couldn't access funding. So I suppose in your case, with Turn as your backbone, you were able to survive that, which was a very uncommon story for the beauty industry. And obviously because of COVID, you couldn't have in-person beauty sessions. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. No, that's really, really encouraging to hear. I have a question for you guys in the chat. It says, what piece of advice would you give to refugees looking to start their own business? Tim, would you like to take that?
Yes, advice would be, don't give up. There's plenty of support out there. Just to reach out. There's nothing as a question or as something you think it's silly. It's there's no such thing. If you reach out, and there's so many people that just kind out there, and just keep asking for the support and the help. And there's plenty out there. It hasn't let us down, but it will not let them down.
Brilliant, lovely. And the other question that I might ask you, actually, Nijat, you could also unmute yourself, because I would really like both of you to give some thought on this. How has the pushback, have you experienced any pushback? Because obviously there's so much propaganda around refugees and businesses. So when you put yourselves out there as refugees in business, as Turn itself as your backbone, but also just saying, I'm a refugee and this is my business, does that in any way limit who accesses your business? Or have you had any pushbacks?
To be honest, for me in my business, like personally in the services that I offer, I never had an issue. Sorry, I never had the issue of that. But I remember going to Barclay Bank. I booked and I waited for 2 months to get the booking to open a business account. And at this time, I had 2 years experience of business. I have established customer, everything. So I had like a strong resume to open a business account with them. And when I said that in the phone, they accepted. They give me appointment after 2 months. I went there. They did interview to me. And they say, we're going to call you. And they never called me. I've been calling. They don't even give me a business account.
Right.
I don't understand it. It really, that was the first time I felt like, oh my God. You know, like in the phone, when I emailed, when I called, it was everything cool. They liked my business, had the idea. But when I came, they see my papers. I was a refugee and a young woman. And I actually don't see myself in that way. I don't see less of myself in that way before. But I was like, this is right. So that must be how people experience it every time. Yeah, that was the only pushback that I had.
Right, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Isabel, with Turn, I imagine that sourcing funding to support the whole Turn initiative, right through to the collective as well, there would be some kind of pushback. What sort of barriers do you face as an organization when you say the funding we're sourcing is to support refugees in business?
I would say that there are 2 ways to talk about this. And the thing I want to start with is the main, like, access to mainstream finance issue for the entrepreneurs we work with, because that has been more difficult, because Nejat's experience is just one of many. And there can be many reasons why accessing a loan here or even opening a business bank account is really difficult, including, like, for example, maybe your address, like proof of address not being accepted, your papers not being accepted. Perhaps I'm aware of some loans that require you to prove that you'll be able to stay in the country for a certain number of years. So if you're coming up to either get citizenship or renew your leave to remain, that can be an issue. So there are so many barriers to accessing even very low levels of finance here, even for prototyping your business, like for amounts for like £500 to £1,000, that's a huge barrier for people who are just starting out, who maybe don't have a network of friends or family to lend them that initial capital. So that's a problem that Turn's been looking at for a while and is working on with some awesome partners. But that's been a much bigger issue for us than accessing funding for our own organization. I mentioned a bit earlier that we have some corporate partnerships and we really access a mix of both private and public funding. So we do apply for grants, we do work on projects as part of like different consortia that are funded, some by the EU, some in the UK. We were part of a Home Office pilot that was run last year. We were on the evaluation panel. It was a pilot run investigating the ways in which refugee entrepreneurship could be used in sort of long-term integration for refugees who arrive in the UK. And we also, as I mentioned, draw funding from sponsorship of our programs. So we have Ben & Jerry's who work on our pre-incubator. We have Atomico as a partner on our incubator program, and various other partners who come in to fund specific initiatives within Turn. At the moment, Anqa is actually looking for that kind of funding because I should have mentioned at the beginning, but it's a very, very small enterprise currently. So it's accounted for through about 1/3 of my time at Turn and about 1/4 of my colleagues. So between us, we add up to almost a whole person working on the project. And that's why development has been, I would say, limited for the potential it has. So that's something we're working on at the moment. But I would say it's very difficult to fund a project like this, which is online, which has fewer tangible outcomes than like a business program, because we can't say, look, we'll put X number of people into it and X number of businesses will come out. And because we're so young, the figures we have around total sales and the difference it makes to entrepreneurs' revenue streams is not particularly clear yet. So the biggest challenge for the next 12 months for us is going to be finding a sustainable business model for Anqa, because we don't charge any commission at the moment to entrepreneurs who use the platform. We didn't want to do that because our customer base isn't big enough to justify it, and some platforms charge huge amounts, sort of 30% on sales, and we didn't want to be like that. So we've started out with nothing, and we may introduce a very small fee in the future, but that's never going to be enough to sustain the platform. So we're looking into partnerships for Anqa itself, and looking to find the main sponsor for the site, and also into ways we can maybe build it into more of a consultancy for people working in similar organizations in other countries who may want to set up an Anqa in France or Canada or Germany, and we can work with them to share our experiences and help them create that platform, because there's so much that we've learned in the last 12 months I wish I'd known before. And looking at ways of building that sort of global network for this kind of project, and seeing if we can attract funding for that.
Okay, brilliant. I'm going to ask you another question before I go back to Tim and Najat, if that's okay, Isabel. So your focus is very much on the West and Europe, if I'm being more specific. So it's refugees that reside in Europe that you work with. It's not
for Anqa or through Turn?
Anqa itself.
At the moment, Anqa only has founders who are based in the UK. But we have, because Turn has partners in France, Germany, the Netherlands, and some emerging possibilities in sort of the US and Canada. That's where we're focusing our main Anqa outreach. But we have also just started a really cool partnership with an organization in Hong Kong. So we're looking at working with them further. And we have partners in Africa too. The Africa Entrepreneurs Collective, they're an amazing organization who I'd love to work with on, bringing the marketplace there as well.
So that's the Global South question I was going to ask you next. Yeah. So where's the Global South?
It just sounds a bit, if I say like all the countries, sounds like we're really going massive in the next 12 months, and we definitely don't have the team for that yet. So
okay,
starting small.
But you have presence in the Global South. So I was looking for those networks in the Global South, and I was thinking this is so Western, and I was getting worried.
Yeah, no, there's an amazing group. It's called the Refugee Entrepreneurship Network, REN, R-E-N, and there are so many organizations who are doing the same work as Turn, but in different parts of the world. Happy to provide more details on that at some point, but there's a global network.
Good. Yeah, no, that's good actually. Thank you so much for clarity. Tim, I've got another question for you. What were the best support networks for you and your business during lockdown?
What was the best support network for me and my business during lockdown?
Yeah.
I think it's having, when I started doing face masks and everybody just suddenly I probably was one of the first person that started doing face masks. It was 2 weeks in the lockdown. Straight away something came up. I did a couple of face masks for myself, and the whole team of Turn was just like, yes, let's do that. And within a couple of days, we built up like a little, what are we going to do with it? We're going to sell them. Let's just do buy one, get one for asylum seekers. And they've helped massively on that. And make that the old dream come true kind of thing. And then we started making scrubs for the NHS during the full pandemic. So that was also something quite nice to do. So yeah, Turn has been, the team at Turn has been quite there for me. There was literally my shadow during the whole of the pandemic, because somehow it was not easy. Mental health was hitting badly. I was living on my own, and I was not working, and I was at home. So that's been my biggest support during the whole lockdown.
Sounds like a big win. If your mental health has been helped, that sounds like a very big win. I'll welcome that. So earlier in the conversation, we talked about pop-ups that could have happened, didn't happen. So the plan is obviously that you're going to be having some pop-ups coming up this year. Are you London focused? Is this going to be across the United Kingdom, and what do you want to be doing with those pop-ups?
Now we're based in London, but team actually until recently was in Glasgow, and we have entrepreneurs who are on the site who are all around the UK. So I would love to be able to host in some of our other sort of main cities. So Glasgow and Manchester, I would be at the forefront of that. And yeah, I think the more we can do, the better. Once restrictions are lifted, we've had really positive experiences working with partners who offer us spaces pro bono for this kind of event, especially when we talk a bit about the collective and what it's aiming to do. So yeah, I'm hoping we can, fingers crossed, have at least 2 or 3 by the end of the year. We'd love to hold a multi-day pop-up in London running up to the festive season, probably in late November, and have, Nejat there, like platforming with service entrepreneurs, because that's something I haven't really mentioned, but on Anqa there are both products and services. Obviously shopping online this year has been great for the products, But
Yeah.
for entrepreneurs who are beauticians or who are caterers and chefs, it's been really difficult to keep their businesses going, and they've all been so incredibly resilient that I would love to have a kind of pop-up that engages people around that and lets people sample services, book in with them straight away, because they haven't received quite as much of the sort of traction that they deserve. So yeah, looking to basically host something really exciting in London at the end of the year, and maybe a couple of events in other cities too.
Isabel, since you've come on, I might as well, earlier before we started the call, you were talking about sharing some information about some future engagement, or was it a workshop you had last year? And I forgot to ask you about that. You wanted to share more info on it.
Oh no, this is, yeah, no problem. This is just what we're running at the moment, actually. So as part of Refugee Week, we set up a collaboration with Counterpoints Arts, who organise the festival. And so we're actually hosting the Refugee Week shop this year. So Team is one of the entrepreneurs who's designed products for it. We have special like Refugee Week editions, so lots of the stuff you'd normally find on Anqa. And I'm sure Team would want to talk about this. You might have seen his t-shirt with the quote that he's wearing now. We have a range of fashion. We have some baklava that's been specially designed, coffee, like all sorts of small things from £5 all the way up to quite bespoke goods, sort of £40 price tag. And this shop's going to be running until mid-July. So I will drop the link in the chat if anyone's interested in buying a gift for someone. It really does make a difference to us. We're still at the stage of growth where every sale is kind of celebrated. So yeah, if you're looking to support small businesses, this shop will be running for the next few weeks. And while Anqa is online all year round, this is quite a special collection. So I'd love to drive people towards it.
That's great. Yeah, if you could drop the link in the chat, Isabel, while Team tells me more about it.
Oh,
Team?
sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Tell me more about this event then that's running.
The event. So the collection we brought out, like these t-shirts that they're 100% organic cotton and they're vegan approved. And I came up with the idea is that they're not just a t-shirt, they're also a self-reminder. So we've picked up one shoulder on laser, one focus, where when somebody will look at you, they look at your shoulder, they would want to know what's there, what's written there. Yeah. And on the one I'm wearing today, it says be kind to yourself. So it's a self-reminder for myself to constantly remember. Every time I look in the mirror, every time I see I walk for a glass, I would say be kind to myself. So it's a reminder of myself to be kind. And anyone who's reading it, who's walking past next to me or in front of me, that reading it will also remind them to be kind to themselves. And I thought it has to be quite a nice way to just spread those kindness around. We've got different kind of quote for Refugee Week this week. We have launched 6 solace on my shoulder. I'm here for you. So they're online, and I'm sure we also at a pop-up store this Saturday on the 19th in Beckenham, which we could pop down the link there, and if anyone want to come and see us there and check us out, hoodies, our t-shirts, our vest top, and we also have baby wear.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. I love being kind to myself. You just reminded me I need to do a little bit more of that. And Nejat, before we end the call, I was just going to ask you as well. I was wondering, do you have any lines that you're making, your beauty lines that are coming out of your entrepreneurship journey in your name?
I'm not doing any product, but hopefully I'm going to be opening my own salon, which is I'm operating my business from another salon now. But in these 3-4 months, I'm going to be opening my own salon. So I'm excited. Then maybe I will have the new services coming through. I'm going to add a new services to the services that I offer now, and maybe have more people work with me. So that's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really exciting. Just as exciting as the whole project. And I really, I think I'm speaking on behalf of everyone at Migration Matters Festival. And I say thank you so much for sharing what you guys are doing. And we hope that more people from our network can tap into your services, Isabel, Team, and Nejat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for joining us. So this is Migration Matters Festival. We continue with the online program. If you can visit the website and feel free to donate to any cause to Migration Matters Festival on our website. So good night and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.